All right, perfect. All right, so thank you everybody for coming. And it is going to be recorded for the people who can't come to the mentoring hour because we have some fabulous mentors here. So I think before we jump into what they have to share, let's do a quick introduction. My name is Sarah Goldammer. I'm here with Tara Schwab from the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center, which is part of the Illinois Community College Board Professional Development Network. I see Sue Borowski is also here. She's from the ALRC, the Adult Learning Resource Center, part of our professional development network. And the ALRC has been spearheading the work with full capacity marketing for the outreach campaign that you all are going to talk about today, how you've been using that toolkit. So we're going to do a quick little round robin of our mentors. Griselda, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from? And then we'll do a quick little round robin.
Perfect. So my name is Griselda Piedra. I'm the Community Relations Manager at Poder, based out of Chicago.
Excellent. And Jill, tell us about yourself.
Good morning. My name is Jill Dupe. I'm with Lewis and Clark Community College Adult Education.
Excellent. Shamir.
My name is Shamir Brown. Work for Parkland College, Transitions Program Manager.
Great. And Lily.
Hi, my name is Lily. I'm from Chicago and I work for the Polish American Association as an outreach coordinator.
Great. Thank you, guys. One of the things we want to make sure that we point out is each of these great individuals are from a program from around the state. They're all very different. They're all using the toolkit in a different way. So it was kind of one of the points as we went fishing to look for great work is to see how everybody's using it in their own way. I will also mention that coming up soon from the November 7th webinar on how ways to use the toolkit. And we'll put that in the chat in just a minute if anybody wants to go back and look at the recording for that webinar. But one of the things that was mentioned is that they'd like to see more ways that rural usage of how rural programs, and I'm saying rural, like not urban. I feel like I'm not saying that very well. So anyway, we are going to have another college that's going to join us in the mentoring circuit and share some information. But for now, let's go ahead. And Griselda, do you want to start us off and tell us a little bit of how your program is using the outreach? And thanks, Tara, for putting that in the chat.
Yes, of course. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a little slideshow put together just to really highlight some of the key things that we've been, that I've been using here at Poder. So this is just a little slide that walks up through who Poder is. You can read that later when you revisit the recording. But as you all know, in the toolkit, right, we have a really good area that gives us already wording that we can literally copy and paste and then just tweak a little, right? And so for me, that has proven to be super helpful when I'm posting my different posts, because I can literally just take this, tweak it a little bit, and it gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 different posts that I can make out of one wording sample that's here in the toolkit. So always think about just how do you freshen it up, even though it's the same model that you really liked and has proven to spark interest and engagement, then just tweak it a little bit, right? But what I really found that we all know that at least for Poder, we have our own branding guidelines. And so a lot of the templates that were provided didn't go along those guidelines. So I had to make it work for us because I really like the ideas and the suggestions that were brought up with all the different samples that were shared with us. So for example, you can see here, I liked, this individual who's got his thumbs up with the learn new skills, and just, it just really pops out and gets that, that momentum going of like the smiling face and everything. And so when I said, well, this person really doesn't represent our population. So how can my community really connect and identify with this individual who's letting them know, hey, why don't you learn new skills, right? And so what I did is I went back and I said, hey, would some of you amazing members of Poder here be interested in taking a part of a photo shoot with us, and I was able to mimic this type of flyer and just create this and then integrate a little bit about Poder, which is we teach English as a second language, right? So they're still learning English. So then that's why I added the Spanish component of aprende, right? New skills, and then just building off of that. So I thought that that was really cool. That worked out really well. But going back again into how do you continue building momentum, and what I learned from that is that smiling face, right? Full face frontal view of everybody, and just smiling and just being very inviting. So our post then kind of mimicked that. And again, I utilized what we call the wording here from the toolkit, but I translated it into Spanish because I really liked it. And so we made sure that it portrayed the same in Spanish. So those are different ways that you can utilize that. The other thing is that I didn't want to just use it for the programming. So what I did this time around, and Giving Tuesday is coming up, is I took that same momentum that we got from our Aprende New Skills, and this time brought in some other individuals who now were doing that thumbs up, right, from our sample. And now I'm going to utilize this for Giving Tuesday. And so taking advantage of that momentum that built to then bring it back to what's another way to help the organization out, to bring people and then to be able to service more people as well. So this really is, you have to look and see what other ways you can utilize what you're learning from the different examples that you're getting to be able to then build off it, right? And so for us is, again, just making sure that it is Poder branded, and all the samples that we got really helped us out. And I know that sometimes we're saying, well, this is really hard to do, but if we utilize Canva, it works really good. It's super user-friendly, and that has really helped shape all of my posts to make sure that we're bringing in those ideas to life when we're trying to merge those concepts together with Poder branding, and then the toolkits assets that are being shared with us, right? And then of course, utilizing later.com to be able to schedule that content has proven to be super successful, because it seems like I'm right there posting at that moment, but I'm not, right? And so just making sure that we're able to sit down, take a moment, because once you get that creativity going, take advantage of it, and then just schedule it out, and you've already done a month's worth of work in a day sitting. And you've fully taken advantage of the toolkit as much as you can while that creativity is like sparked on, right? So that's a little bit about us and how we use the toolkit. If you want to connect with us via our social media, these are our handles where you can see some of that work being showcased there. Any questions?
Yes, thank you very much. Does anybody have any quick questions? Also, you can put them in the chat if you want to, and we'll read those out so that anyone watching the recording can see those. And as we go on, for each of our mentors, if you think of something that you would like to ask anybody, just please put that in the chat. But thank you very much for sharing. Okay, so we're going to go on to Jill, and if you could kind of reintroduce yourself, Jill, and tell us where you're from, and tell us how you've used the toolkit and the campaign.
Sorry, excuse me. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint real quick. So again, my name is Jill Dupe. I'm with Lewis and Clark Community College, and my title is Outreach Specialist. I am new to, this is a brand new position for our department. So everything I'm doing, I'm kind of learning as I'm going along, and I'll be here. It'll be 2 years in January. I have to say that the toolkit's been super helpful especially for me starting a new job and like in this brand new position. So I'm really appreciative of that, of the opportunity to have this really great resource. So we've done a lot of different things. Primarily, we are focused on a lot of social media work, especially because it feels like that's the best way to reach a lot of our people. So I'm going to talk about social media posts. We also, one of the most important things that we do is we try to use a lot of photos from our actual students. and them in the process of learning or working, whatever they're doing. So we get photo releases from them whenever we enroll them. I also utilize a lot of hashtags. We use partnerships with our community organizations and podcasts. So just to show you, this is an example of one of my posts that I made on Facebook. We are in the process of getting our Instagram account up and running. So once I do that, then all of this will also copy over to Instagram. So that's just a matter of our media services giving permission and like connecting the accounts for me. But one thing I do is I try to tag our community partners or and do as many hashtags as possible in a sentence. So it takes a little bit of creative thought. So as you can see here, our students for Adult Education Family Literacy Week, we built little libraries. And so our Youth Build students built the little libraries and installed them at several locations, one of them being the Boys and Girls Club. So of course I tagged them and made like a little post photo collage. I also use Canva a lot. I think it's a really great resource. And I also try to incorporate the logo as much as I can as well. The Illinois Adult Education logo, the part of the toolkit here. Another thing that we do every year at Christmas is we have a library. It's actually located within our mall. And we have the privilege of coming up with a window display. So in this picture, you can see we had our students build the trees, and then we kind of highlight each of the components of our program, which we have several. We have English, ESL, we have literacy, we have a Project Read, which is our literacy component. And then of course, GED classes and career pathways. I have a closer picture here to show you of where I had a poster made that highlights all of our programming and also incorporates the logos of everything that we represent. Another thing I do, and you can kind of see in this little bottom right hand corner of the poster, is a QR code. So that QR code links to a Google form. So if anyone is ever interested, they can scan the code and like just go on real quick. It's a five question. I made it really short. Give us your contact information, and it links directly to me, and then I'll get it, and then I can follow up with them. And I just go back really quick. These are, again, I use all student pictures. So this is one of our students that graduated this year, and I incorporated the logo, which that's probably a lot of what I do, to be honest, because we do like to use our own students. So I just use the logo a lot. So yeah, so this is just a closer view of that. Like I said earlier, hashtags I feel like have been really helpful at getting the word out, because when we use other organizations' hashtags or like consistent hashtags, then we're able to reach those audiences and not just our own. So I'm, like I said, new to this position, and our Facebook is less than 2 years old. So we don't have a lot of followers yet. And in order for me to do that, I have to tag and get try to get other followers from other pages. So I tag as many as possible. And then our work with our community partners is really important, because being a part of different networking events and, meetings online gives me the opportunity to share about our programs. And I've had a lot of our community partners come to me and ask for help with maybe a client or someone that they're working with getting enrolled in their GED. So we have here an organization that helps formerly incarcerated individuals as soon as they come and they're being re-entered into society. That's probably one of the most important community partners that I have, because they're constantly calling me and asking me for help with, getting them connected. And then also those who have been formally convicted of drug charges, we have those as well that we're working with organizations within our community to help those individuals, take a different path and earn their GED. They're not the only students we have, of course, but they're, some of the ones that we connect with. And then our Madison County Employment and Training is our required WIOA partner. And we work with them a lot to either create programming and also disseminating information and making sure that we're sharing with them what we're doing and the classes and opportunities that we have as well. One other thing I do that I really love is I do a monthly podcast, and this is super rewarding for me because this season I'm actually getting to highlight students and talk to students about their experiences and their story, you know. So I think everyone has a really powerful story, and I love to kind of dig through and find that person's story and get them on my podcast and just learn about like what brought them to our program, you know, just learning about that. So a couple months ago, I had a student who was a mom who started our program, but then got pregnant and then kind of left for a while and then came back. And one of our grants allows us to have free childcare at one of our facilities at our primary adult ed campus. And it's because of that she was able to graduate this last year in June. So that was one of my favorite stories. And then I just recently interviewed my new co-host, who is an incarcerated youth that we're working with. And he is going to become my co-host, but I interviewed him last month and got to hear his story about what led him to being incarcerated, dropping out of high school, and just kind of his like background. He actually is from Bloomington, and he has a really amazing story. So if you want to check that out, it's on our Facebook page. And that's one of the places that I share that information. So here's my contact information. I felt really brief, so I just kind of threw a lot of things out there. And if you have any questions or want to know some of the other things we're doing, you can reach me. Here's my email and phone number. And then, of course, we're on Facebook, as I said.
Thank you so much, Jill. Some great ideas. And for those of you that might be watching the recording, there's lots of love in the chat about people enjoying that window display and also your podcast. And, you know, Shamir, you made the comment about that you loved it. Not sure if you can pull it off. Well, you know, I think it's great just to know what other people are doing, because, you know, just figuring out like what works. And I love the way you're elevating those student voices. So awesome. Also, just letting you know that there is, when you talked about some social posts, both Griselda and Jill talked about that. We, along with our WIOA partners in Illinois, had an expert come and share on making sure that those social posts are accessible. And so if anybody wants to go back and look at that recording, that is there for you. And that's it's just another resource, because that's another way of making sure that we reach everybody. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jill, or have you thought about something else for Griselda as you've been listening to the overviews? If not, let's swing over to Shamir, and he has a little recording telling about what he has done at Parkland, and I will let you go ahead and share, Shamir.
Okay, I'm gonna try and share here. I do want to say that I did not include a closing screen that includes my contact information. So if anyone does want to reach me, we'll have to make sure we get that for them.
I can put your email in the chat for you.
Sounds good.
And as you're bringing up, I just want to say thanks to all the mentors for being willing to share your contact information and allow people to reach out to you, because I think, you know, in the months to come, I think you're probably going to get some people saying, hey, I saw this recording and I have a question about. So thank you to all of you for your good work.
All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Shamir Brown, representing Parkland College, the Adult Education Department to be exact, and I handle transitions for our students in this unit. And today I'm going to be giving you sort of an abbreviated version of a presentation that is also online in its entirety. It's available during the Forum for Excellence. I'm sure we can make sure anyone who wants to see the longer copy aware of where they can actually get their hands on that. So let's get into this. We want to, when we think about the campaign, make sure that we make it clear that we're not spam bots. Though we want to adhere to the 5 touch point rule, we want to be very intentional and adaptable in terms of how we reach that number. It's okay to refrain from contacting a student who's clearly let you know that they have enough information to proceed, or who is actually already signed up for registration at that point. If you get a lead on the phone or into the office, You want to be willing to go as far as you can to make sure that students get set up for registration and understand the programming. Students may get further insight about programming at registration and likely will, and may learn the answers to certain questions that they may have once they actually get into the classroom. But as much as we can, we want to let them know as much upfront as they seem to be asking about so that they can feel comfortable that they understand what is taking place here. An example of that would be signing up for a GED.com account and just sort of making sure that the student understand what that means, what they're working towards, and how they actually achieve their end goal. And so we want to make sure we do the best at making the most out of the contacts that we get, especially if we're able to get them on the phone or actually have them in front of us for a live office visit. Things to consider from a barrier standpoint, we want to make sure that we are aware of the leads that could be redundant. We also use GED Manager and get leads from that location as well. I'm sure others across the state do the same. And many times you will find that some of the leads coming from the campaign are also showing on the GED Manager site. And we want to refrain from making our students feel like we're operating some sort of cookie cutter style recruiting factory. And we definitely don't want to have any of our current students feel as though, hey, they're not even paying attention to me here. They've reached out multiple times and they still seem to be recruiting me, even though I'm already a student. So we just want to avoid scenarios like that and do our due diligence and look and make sure that we're not reaching out to the same student with the same information when it doesn't even make sense. Something that is not necessarily a barrier, but that does sometimes show up is a student who has matching contact information as another student. And instead of this actually being a barrier, it's actually more of an opportunity for us to perhaps get multiple students at once. Many times we're dealing with a couple, or better yet, a family in this instance, or a group of friends who has a point person. And that point person is comfortable enough to communicate and or to receive information, and they want to get the ball rolling first. They may even enroll themselves or come to a registration session, and you'll notice that in the coming days or weeks that they are seemingly bringing multiple friends and or family members alongside them, or they may show up to their registration session hoping that it's just okay that they brought others with them. We want to be as accommodating as we can in those instances. I know sometimes it's not always feasible, but we do want to make sure we're taking advantage of these opportunities. And we've seen that already with the Leads campaign, where a given individual and has shared contact information with others, and it has resulted in more than one family or group of friends signing up for services with us at once. So be very cognizant of this opportunity that may initially look like a barrier when it looks like, wow, the Leads campaign has just provided us with a set of information that looks like the same contact information for everyone. What do I do with this here? When it comes to converting leads, something that's been critical for us is sort of re-engineering our process. What we said we were going to do in the beginning had to be adapted and adjusted. And an example of this would be the fact that many of our leads were coming in the middle of the semester where it was a little bit too late to get them going in a class. And we did not want to lose contact or touch with them. So we've made some going to say creative attempts to keep them closely connected to us, whether that was creating individualized learning plans for students, allowing them to use our standalone online learning options, allowing them to have access to our tutoring here at the college, whether that was Project Read or via our Learning Commons here at the college. We're doing all that we can to keep that person moving forward with their learning until such time as they can actually enroll and actually be a student who gets to attend classes. So be very mindful that these processes will require a lot of re-engineering and a lot of creative ideas in order to make sure we're using, making the best use of all of the leads that we receive, because it's not always going to be as easy as seeing all of the leads just ahead of the time when we register students for a given semester, getting everyone on board, and then having nothing to do in between the next time we see a set of leads. So just be mindful that being creative is okay. And if you have your own process that's working for you, that's also okay. For example, we decided we wanted to recreate spreadsheets of our own that are just a little bit more effective for us in terms of keeping track of things and notating. So anything that you want to do in order to make this process a little easier for you, I would suggest go ahead and doing so. So we're going to close out the presentation portion of things, and I am here for questions, here for ideas and thoughts, and to just let this be the sharing session that it was intended to be. So hopefully you've been able to extract some value from the presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Shamir. Does anybody have any questions specifically? I know Shamir was one of the first people that we talked to, and we were just really impressed with their tracking that they put in place, and how they tracked and how they were able to communicate across their program to make sure that they were very mindful of how they were interacting with potential students and with their current students. So thank you very much. And yeah, so in the chat, we're seeing great idea of tutoring, etc., while until they start classes, keeping them involved. Love that. Jill, did you have a question?
I do. Shamir, how do you like extract the Excel spreadsheet from the leads list? Is that what you're doing?
No, well, no, I'm going the long way with it because I don't like the way it looks. So it's kind of tough to put notes the way I want or the way we want. So I just made a recreation, and once it's done, then it kind of becomes real simple to go from that point. But I mean, it takes a little bit of work initially to get the setup how you prefer. Everyone likes different looks on their spreadsheets, but no kind of just copy and paste option that was easy enough to make it what we needed it to be.
So then are you downloading that information, or are you retyping it all?
Well, no, you can copy and paste the main
Oh.
portions of information. That's pretty simple. But in terms of like getting your notes section or any sort of color coding you want, you're going to have to make sure that you're not also copying the format from the spreadsheet online.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's jump over to Lily and tell us a little bit how you're using the campaign, Lily.
Sure, absolutely. Let me go ahead and just share my screen really quickly. Okay, so again, my name is Lily. I'm with the Polish American Association, and just a little bit about our organization. We are a nonprofit organization that works with the immigrant community and the refugee communities around the Chicago area. Our mission is rooted in Polish heritage for over a century. The PA advances today's diverse immigrant communities, and that has been true for the last 100 years. We actually celebrated our 100th year this year. So it's been a great, I guess, a great learning experience working for the PA. I've only been here a couple months, but I've learned so much, and I've grown to really love the culture that it is, the PA, and the fact that they are expanding and opening their doors to all of the different communities in our area. First, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you and showing our gratitude to everyone who's worked on the Illinois Adult Education Outreach Campaign. It's brought so many amazing resources, and it's helped us a lot in our organization. And just a few ways that the outreach has really helped us and helped us grow. We are in a transitional stage in our organization where it's been a little difficult to try to expand our population. When you mix cultures, sometimes there's a bit of a hesitancy for certain cultures to mix together, but it's been a great way to see how our organization is really pushing forward to open our doors and expand our services to all communities, to all languages, because Chicago is a very diverse city. So just a few ways that it's helped us. It's definitely added validity to our program. Because we're not a city college or because we're not a big fancy educational, institution, some people see us and they don't really think our program is as valid, but because of the campaign and because they've noticed that we are being, backed up by a citywide campaign, it's brought additional validity to our education program. So that's been very, very helpful. It's also helped us expand our population. Like I said, we're reaching out to more communities now than ever, and we've been able to gain potential students and open our audience to not only the Polish speaking, but the Spanish speaking. We've also added lots of Ukrainian speaking people that have showed up to our doors because of everything that's going on. Obviously in the world, we're getting a lot of new people into the city, and it's been very exciting to be able to help these new populations. Because of this, we've also been able to gain trust from the population. So it was kind of funny when I first started off doing our outreach to the Spanish community. A lot of them would kind of raise their eyebrows, like, but this is, the name of our organization is the Polish American Association. So they're thinking like, well, I'm not Polish. But it's been very helpful to have the validity of the campaign helping us. And so the Spanish community has really opened up and has learned to trust our organization, especially the people who live around our specific community have been more open to receiving our information and coming into our office and learning more about the services that we provide. But I think the most exciting part of the campaign is that it's actually helped us make history in our organization. We've been able to start our first ever ESL class to the Spanish speaking community. So we have a teacher who's started her class recently, and she's been teaching ESL to the Spanish community. And it's been really exciting to see this part of our organization finally, all the work that they've done, it's finally coming, into fruition, and we're seeing the fruits of the labor. So it's been really exciting to see how the campaign has really helped us move forward into our goals. The campaign has really amazing resources, as we've heard from other presenters. The toolkit has been an incredible resource for our organization. Like I said, we're in a bit of a transitional period. We don't really have a social media expert. We don't really have a marketing expert. I'm very new to outreach, so it's kind of been all hands on deck with all of our other employees. Some people are more into social media, some are more into marketing. So the toolkit has been really amazing to help us reach this new population. And as Shamir was talking about the spreadsheet is actually the star of the show here for us. We've been using it every single day. It's our go-to thing. It has had its difficulties with the fact that we can't really customize it to the way that we would like. However, the Google Doc has the make a copy tab. So we've just made a copy of it so that each of us have our own copy, or at least we have our own way to customize it. But we do use the main spreadsheet so that we can all be in one place. Because if we all just used our own, it would just kind of get really messy and we wouldn't know, like, did you call this person? Did you call this person? So we definitely use the same sheet that gets updated regularly to keep ourselves, accountable and organized. So it really helps us to be efficient. And I think the most efficient part of it is that we don't have to constantly be going out looking for leads. We don't have to go out prospecting. So it's been very efficient to be able to open the spreadsheet, see the new people that have been added, give them a phone call or send them an email. And we know that that specific person is looking for ESL or is looking for ABE or is looking for a vocational training. So it's really helpful to be able to know why you're calling them, to make the phone call as efficient as possible and as quick as possible so that we don't have to waste people's time or waste our own time. So it's been really helpful to keep us very, very efficient here. It's also, like I said, helped us to be organized. I'm not sure how we did it before the spreadsheet. When I first interviewed for the job, I heard someone in the background say, oh, so-and-so is going to go out prospecting. And in my mind, I was like, oh no, like that's going to be part of my job. I have to go out on the street and prospect. And as soon as I got on, they're like, yeah, just look at this toolkit, see what you can use. And the spreadsheet was just like, that's my thing. I'm going to go for that. So it's helped us to stay organized. We can take notes. We can see who's contacted the person, what time, what day. That way, not all of us are contacting the same person in the same day, and then they're getting, frustrated with us. So we're able to contact them, take notes, stay organized, and then follow up if we need to. The last thing is that it's really helped us stay focused on our goal, which is to grow our organization. We want to grow, obviously, our program. And when you have things in place that help you be efficient and organized, it automatically allows you to stay focused on your goal and to stay focused on the things that matter most, which is helping the people who walk into our doors. And so it's been a really great resource for us. And so here's my contact information if anybody has any questions. And I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you, Lily. That was very, very helpful. We appreciate you sharing that. Does anybody have any questions for Lily? I will mention that on we put it in the chat. I think Tara's put it in twice, but Excellence in Adult Ed website. There they have full recordings from all 4 of these mentors that tells a little bit more deeply what they've done. So I just want to say that if anybody's watching this recording, if you go to the Excellence in Adult Ed website and under resources, there's the outreach campaign. That's where the toolkit also can be accessed. And then if you want to look at the full recordings of each of these individuals. And if there's not any questions, I just want to thank all 4 of you for the great work that you're doing at your program. We are so excited to hear about your success and how you're using the toolkit. We will meet again on November 30th at 2 o'clock. We'll have another mentoring hour for anybody who wants to stop on and hear this information again. Thank you, Amy. We're glad that you thought it was informative, and we appreciate you attending. And we hope that everybody has a lovely rest of their day. Thanks for joining us.